Dice Tower Tonight, episode 102.
Games about places.
Welcome to Dice Tower Tonight. Ooh, it's dance time.
My mom was calling, sorry.
Welcome to Dice Tower Tonight, a video cast about board games and card games, and especially the people who play them. On tonight's show, how many times have you traveled to the French countryside, only to be disappointed that the farmers of Carcassonne don't actually spend all day lying on their back, staring up at the sky? We're looking at games that reference a real location, and that hopefully are more than just a pretty theme. Plus, Crystal is trying something new with me in the chat. We talk about some recent play sessions, and we answer questions from the audience live. I'm Eric Summerer, and joining me now, the Captain Carter to my Howard Stark, it's Crystal Dax.
Hi, Eric. How are you tonight?
Hello, I'm doing all right. Looking forward to some gaming excitement and fun, and maybe just a little bit of gumption. At least
a little bit, just
a little bit, not too much. You have to go easy on the gumption.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
You run into trouble.
Yeah, all the times, like my mom could have called literally any time today. She chose like the 5 seconds after we went live.
It was actually pretty well timed. I took a breath and she called. It was perfect. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm very excited about tonight's show. I'm especially excited about the interactive game that I have planned for you and the chat. We're doing something new and different tonight, but it's one that I'm really excited about and I think is going to be a whole lot of fun.
Excellent. But we should probably talk about some stuff we've been playing lately before we get into that. And I hear that you got to play something fun while you were traveling over the past couple weeks.
I did get to play something fun while I was traveling. So I'm going to talk about a different game from I recently played. But I got to demo the new game coming from Deepwater Games that's going to release this coming spring. It is the Winchester Mystery House edition of Floor Plan. So this is the original edition of the game. And the new edition, the Winchester Mystery House edition, is going to come out in the spring. It is so cool, and it ties in pretty strongly to the theme that we're going to discuss in a little while, so I'll hold off on my thoughts about that until then.
Okay.
But needless to say, I'm excited to talk about that. But for right now, I'm going to be talking about another game that I played for the first time somewhat recently, and that is a roll and write game from Ori Game designed by Daryl Chow called Walk and Roll.
Interesting.
So this is a roll and write game where you are a restaurateur running a Chinese restaurant in Singapore. This is very specific.
That is very specific, yeah.
That is the theme, though. As in most roll and write games, each player gets a player board that has a number of recipes on it that they can complete. Every round, one player will roll the 6 dice, which I should preface this with, like a lot of games that come out of Asia, the box for this game is small, but the component quality is top-notch.
Nice.
So good. These dice are screen-printed dice, and they are adorably cute. Oh gosh! Woo. And very pretty. I know, I should just hold them up like a normal human instead of like trying to hold them in my hand like that, but they're screen printed and very cool looking.
Neat.
And one player will roll all 6 dice, and they can re-roll any number of the dice up to 2 times, so a total of 3 rolls. And then once they've locked the dice in, everybody can take ingredients to make their meals. The player who rolled the dice has access to all 6, but all the other players only have access to the white dice, so they don't get access to the 2 red dice.
Okay.
And then players can mark off any recipes that they have the ingredients to complete using those dice or extra ingredients that they have in their fridge. You start off with 1 of each type of ingredient at the beginning of the game, and you mark them off as you use them. So you've got some spare ingredients laying around.
Helpful.
There are also bonuses that you can unlock, which will allow you to convert ingredients into other ingredients, making substitutions in a recipe. And there are also end-game scoring conditions that you can unlock using certain powers as well. You'll gain new ingredients by completing certain things, and you'll gain points for completing recipes. This is just the simple side of the board, though.
Uh-oh.
On the expert side of the board,
Whoa.
things get really intense. And this is what's really cool about this game, in my estimation, is a lot of people say that a lot of roll and write games are kind of more on the simple side. There's not a whole lot going on, and I'm not disagreeing with that fact. This, especially on the expert side, not only is a more complex roll and write game, but it is incredibly thematic, because a lot of the recipes on the expert side of the board are locked to start, and you have to complete your house specials to learn how to unlock some of the other recipes.
Whoa.
So it very much feels like you're working in a restaurant and you have to get better before you can make the more complex recipes. And you also have to unlock ingredients and other things. Your pantry isn't quite as accessible to you in this version of the game. It is honestly just so neat. And every restaurant on the expert side also has a different house special. Each restaurant has its own house special that you can make. So, and you get to name your restaurant. This is a really cool game. I really have enjoyed playing this one. I think if you want to teach somebody a quick roll and write game, honestly, I like the simple mode as well. Like, this is pretty good, but the expert mode is where this game really shines. And this was the original version of the game that Daryl designed. Then he scaled back to create the simpler version, which I think was a good call, because it's an easier way to get into the game. But like I said, component quality is great. There is a solo mode as well. It has separate rules. Markers have erasers on the lids, which is one of my favorite things for roll and write games nowadays. Like, please just give me the eraser built in on the pen. And I haven't shown you the best part yet, Eric.
The best part? Yeah.
It comes with its own dice tray in the box, and it looks like a walk.
Like a walk.
Like, come on.
Of course.
How perfect. Like, everything about this game just feels satisfying and right and thematic and just wonderful. So if you like roll and write games in any estimation, I would say this is one you should definitely give a look to. They're published by Ori Game. It's like origami, but with an E, like get the word game at the end. Ori Game, yeah. And I'm loving this one. I like Daryl's games in general. His stuff tends to be very thematic, and this one I think is my favorite of his that I've played. So that is Walk and Roll. I mean, come on, the name is also great, right? Walk and Roll. Yeah, that's just got a little crab with dice on the cover. It's great.
I'm surprised we haven't seen a game called Walk and Roll already. That seems like a name that we should have seen by now. Anyway,
clearly the universe was just waiting for this one.
That sounds really fun. Have you played Walkstar?
I'm not sure. Which one is that?
It's a co-op. You're a family running a Chinese restaurant, and you have to acquire ingredients and make recipes to serve customers. And it's real time. You've got like a timer going, and you have to. I think you have maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds to serve a customer every time they show up, and so it's dice rolling. I
don't think I've played that one,
but it's working together to do this, and you also unlock more recipes, get more ability to serve more customers, and make more money. It sort of reminded me of that, although this seems different enough that it would be worth exploring there too.
For sure, yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Very, very cool. So I am talking about a variation of a game system that I've talked about before, both here and on the podcast. It's the exit system. Have you played any of these yet, Crystal?
I have one here at my house, but I haven't played it yet.
Okay, well, this is the Sacred Temple from Exit, and you'll notice over here in the corner, puzzles. This is a junction of the Exit puzzle game system and actual jigsaw puzzles. Going back to the traditional Exit games, which come in about a box about half this size. The traditional Exit games have some sort of booklet, which will have, tableaus, clue pages and stuff like that, and then there will be decks of cards that you can unlock. They also have clue cards and also a puzzle solution deck of cards that sort of run the system. And you'll be looking at this booklet and using cardboard components and other stuff that comes in the box to solve puzzles and work your way through. Usually, I think it's 10 major puzzles in a standard exit game. And this is the same. There's 10 major puzzles you need to solve here. But instead of having a booklet, you've got these puzzles that need to be assembled. And there's 4 groups of them, and they are... I'm not going to show you too much of any of the images, but they all have backs that are different. So there's a polka dot back, and there's a standard gray back, and there's these stars, and then there's these stripes. And you assemble them, and that is basically the illustration. Again, you're not seeing much here. That's basically the illustration that you would have found in the booklet. But the fact that it is a puzzle allows you to do some cool, like, physical things that you would not normally get to do with just plain paper. You know, because it is a jigsaw puzzle, you can do some stuff that you could only do with a jigsaw puzzle, which is kind of interesting. And once we realized that was on the table, just like any of these exit games, you sort of have to realize that something is possible. Like some action is legal within the bounds of the game. Like suddenly,
we all had that aha moment early in the exit series where we were like, "Oh, there's stuff there!" Like,
right. Yes, and there are some recycled. Like once you know that something is legal to look for, like the outside of the box or the rule book or underneath the insert, there are now all sorts of places where they're going to hide things, and it's getting harder for them to come up with ways to hide things.
Yeah, that's true.
But also, there's no deck of cards in this version of the game. When you unlock stuff, you unlock these little envelopes, which then have more puzzle and more solutions and more stuff for you to solve. It does have the clue disc, which is just like the other exit games, except for one interesting shift. In the original games, so say I was solving the green puzzle and I wanted to know that the answer was 209, so I'd line those up. And ordinarily, in the standard exit games, I'd get a number in the center. And then I'd look through one of the decks of cards, and then that would show me, you may have found the right solution. Where did you see this puzzle? And you pick the image of the door that you found this green lock on, and then that tells you a different number, and aha, you did it correctly. That's a little clunky. It works, but it's like I got to look up a card, and then I got to look up another card. Blech. This one, so I line this up, 209 in green, and I look on the back, and there's a little tiny window on the back, and if I'm trying to solve the green puzzle, and it shows me the green lock on the back, I got it right, which then tells me I can look for this combination of symbols in my stack of envelopes. It's just a little bit smoother, and I hope they take that and incorporate it in the other exit games, because it just, you line it up, you look back, yeah, we did it, or no, we didn't. It could have an X, like I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there could be an X in that little window, which means you didn't get it, or it's the wrong color lock, or whatever. And then it's real quick to say, all right, you don't have to shuffle through the deck and juggle the disc it's just simpler. Time limit on this game is longer because you have to solve the jigsaw puzzles, which takes enough time. They're not impossible puzzles. They're relatively simple. They're squares. They're about this big. And they're not... I think maybe the last one was more difficult than others. They're generally pretty clear as to what the images are supposed to be and putting it all together. They all have borders. There's no real tricky aspects to solving a jigsaw puzzle, but it does take time. So they give you, I think, an hour and a half before they start knocking points off of your score. But as I've started to do with these exit games, I'm not worried about the time anymore. I don't care how many clues I take. I don't care about the time limit. I did this with my mom while we were visiting my folks and said, you love puzzles. She loves jigsaw puzzles. Let's do this thing, and we're just going to take the time it takes. It took us, I think, 2.5 hours, which would have been maybe a 6-star score if I was following the scoring, but I didn't. The other thing that's different is the clues all come in the book. This is the rule book. Here's how you play exit. On the back are the clues, and they it's similar to the deck version where you've got a clue 1, clue 2, and then here's the solution sort of thing. But they say, all right, you want to open the briefcase, turn to this page, and it gives you the first clue. I'm not going to show it too close to the camera in here. The first clue you can fold over so you can only see the first one. And if that's not enough, you can see the second clue. And then you can look at the full solution. And it's a whole column, so you get lots of illustrations. You get lots of descriptions. And again, like other exit games, there were a few that I had to look at because while I could see how the puzzle was coming together and I could see the elements, I just didn't connect what exactly they wanted me to do. You know, I found these letters and numbers. I don't know what they mean. I know I found them correctly. What do I do with them? And I just didn't make that logical leap. So there were, I think, 3 puzzles out of the 10 that we had to get that little bit of a nudge. I think 1 or 2 had to get the full shove and not just the nudge. But that's sort of par for the course in these. I like the variation that comes with these. I will likely seek out, I think there's 2 of these. Maybe you have the other one, Crystal.
I think I actually do have the other one. I'm not certain, but I think I have the other one.
I have enjoyed them tremendously. It is going to hurt just a little bit more when I put this in the recycling bin, though, because that's a lot of material. 4 quality puzzles, but it's the same thing. There were some components that got cut up and folded and bent, and you just can't do them again. You could solve the puzzles, the jigsaw puzzles again, if you really wanted to, but they're not that interesting of an image when you're done. It's not that challenging of a puzzle. It's really about solving the escape room. And it's all recyclable, but it's just sort of a little more painful to do it with this one. Anyway, Thumbs up. I will look for more of these. I'm still enjoying Exit, even if it annoys me sometimes in some of the puzzles. That's the
I mean, if they knocked it out of the park every single time, that would almost be like unheard of at this point, because based on how many they've made, right? Like,
yes, yeah, they have to. There's got to be some repetition at this point.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm gonna have to get that one to the table here in the near future. I have a couple of escape room games that I really want to play. I've stopped streaming escape room games on Tuesdays just because my brain got a little bit burned out. I was just on Tuesday evenings. I didn't have the brain power to do it anymore.
You really got to be in the right mindset. Yeah. Hannah asks, Oh, sorry. I just saw a question come up in chat. Hannah asks, are the puzzles as good as the regular exit games? They are comparable. You solve the puzzle, the jigsaw puzzle, and it gives you basically in the original exits when you get the 2-page spread that would show you like 2 or 3 puzzles on that 2-page spread. That's sort of what it is. You solve the jigsaw puzzle, and it's sort of like that. Anyway, yes, comparable puzzles to the original exits. Please continue.
This is the one that I'm looking forward to trying at some point.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. This one, the 3-story 3D house.
Oh, yeah?
This one is not for stream, though. I wanted to stream it, but it's too difficult because of the 3D nature of how it works. So this one's just for me at some point.
I really enjoyed that, but it is also exceedingly difficult at points.
So maybe it's better that I don't stream it and embarrass myself.
Could be. I wanted to run that one. That one's resettable, and I sort of want to tape it all back together and put it back together and run it at a con when that's still possible, because I can help nudge in the right direction. I felt a little frustrated at some of the puzzles, more frustrated than Exit in some of the puzzles in that game. And I think if you had a live person helping you through, you might be able to give more specialized nudges in a better way there.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, Eric, I think it's about time we play a game with the chat. What do you think?
I think we should. I know you're very excited about this one, and I'm excited too.
I am. So, as a result of, COVID stuff kind of ramping back up again, I've kind of locked back down again, even more so than I had already been, which means I've been playing more games online again. I'm not meeting with my friends, even though they're vaccinated, just because we're trying to, just be real careful. And so I've been playing more Jackbox games recently. And for those of you who are not familiar, Jackbox games are party-style games that are very similar to like party board games, created by the company who made You Don't Know Jack, the trivia game that was on computers in the 90s and 2000s.
Love that game.
And they have a whole bunch of different games, including like there's one that is basically like a social deduction board game called Push the Button, where you are all look like you're humans on a spaceship, but a couple of you are secretly aliens and you have to figure out who they are. We're not going to play Push the Button, though. We're going to play one of my favorite Jackbox games in not Jackbox. It's called Split the Room.
Okay.
Eric, have you heard of this one before?
Until you mentioned it, I had not played this one, no.
Okay. So for those of you who are not familiar with how Split the Room works, again, we're just doing kind of we're not actually playing on Jackbox's servers. I've made my own version of Split the Room, but I want to give Jackbox all the credit for the inspiration for this game, just so people are aware. But I'm going to bring something up on my screen real quick. So this is what Split the Room looks like when you play it through Jackbox. There is a prompt that will be presented to the players, or in this instance, either Eric or the chat, and you have to fill in a blank. So in this one, the red text is the blank that got filled in. So this prompt says, you can take a pill that will make you insanely attractive, but will also make your voice sound like blank. You're about to leave for your 20-year high school reunion. Do you take one? Uh-huh. And what you put in that blank, you are trying to split the room, meaning you want everybody to be divided on what the correct answer is here. You don't want everybody to say yes or everybody to say no. You want to divide the group. You want to provide an answer that will be divisive. And so in this instance, Eric, I mean, you're a voice actor, so sounding like SpongeBob.
Well, yeah. I mean, at first I said absolutely not, unless I was trying to get Tom Kenny's job. You know, I could be SpongeBob, but I said
Can you
no.
Be SpongeBob?
You know, there already is a SpongeBob, so you have to be somebody else.
All right. Well, so that is how normal Jackbox works. But what I have done is I've created my own very special prompts. And Eric, you are going to be competing against the chat to create these prompts. And then everybody, the chat and us, are going to vote. And we're going to try and split the room. Those prompts, chat and you will get points based on the things that you fill in those blanks with, if you can divide the group as equitably as possible. Okay. And I have a scoring system. You can earn up to 4 points if you split the room really well, or down all the way to 0, but chances are that won't happen. I think y'all will do better than that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our first prompt, which, Eric, I'm going to give this one to you so you can kind of show chat how it's done.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So, and I can move this if I need to. Let me... I know it won't pop up on the stream here for us for a second.
Yeah, I've got you full screen for now.
Okay, cool. Then I will move my head over here so it's not covered up by the box. But Eric, this is your first prompt, and I'm going to then put a straw poll into the chat that everybody is going to vote on. I'm going to grab the link for that now, but I'm not going to drop it in the chat quite yet because they won't know what they're voting on until you have an answer. So the prompt is, a fairy appears and offers you free board games for the rest of your life. But as payment for this gift, you must blank. Do you take her offer? Yes or no? So, Eric, you are going to fill in that blank with the payment that must be given to get free board games for the rest of your life. And you want people to be, like, iffy on this. You want them to... So, what are you thinking?
Okay. As payment for this gift, you must give up all of your physical books.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to type that into the chat.
I mean, I have my rationale for this. I don't know if we want to discuss that before chat starts voting.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think you need rationale. I think chat just gets to vote.
Chat's going to vote.
Yep, and we can vote as well. Well, I guess, yeah, I'm going to vote.
I guess I should vote.
So, do you take the fairy's offer? If you can have free board games for the rest of your life, but you have to give up all of your physical books in return. I think this is a really good answer, and I'm struggling. Like in the video game version, in the Jackbox Games version, you get bonus points based on how long it takes people to answer as well. Because if they're thinking for a long time, clearly you've created a good prompt. Yeah. So I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna do it. Okay, and then, all right, auto refresh results. Yes.
Corlu's asking, right, so, can I still go to the library? I didn't say. I think you have to give up your books.
See, like, for me, for instance, like, I own a first edition copy of my favorite book of all time. Giving that up would be a big deal. Like, I don't want to give up that book. So I'm dropping the link to the straw poll in the chat one more time, just in case anybody missed it. I know it wasn't too far away scroll-wise, but I still see votes coming in. So we'll give this a few more seconds here.
But, I mean, a lot of people are moving to digital e-readers. You know, could you make that transition? Could you say, well, I guess I could switch to Kindle?
I think I probably could, but I don't know if I want to. And that's what's interesting. It's not like I have to choose between books and board games completely. It's just free board games and all of my books. I don't know. See, Kabuki Kid says I have a few nice first editions as well. That's, All right, y'all. I'm going to say we're going to shut down the voting here in just a few seconds.
I'm hoping this is split because I'm seeing both comments in the chat right now.
Well, I can say pretty definitively, Eric. Oh, we got one more vote come in just now. I would say you did a darn good job, Eric, because the results are 56% yes. Well, now it's 58% yes, but that's still fine.
Okay.
And 41% no. So, yes, in fact, you basically split the room, which is exactly what you were intended to do, and a 40% split is worth the full 4 points, Eric. So,
all right.
Congratulations to you. You're getting 4 points, and I should write that down somewhere, because otherwise I'm going to forget. Eric gets 4, and I'm going to write down chat as well, and we'll keep track of chat score too. All right, chat. So what I'm going to do for this next prompt is I'm going to put it on the screen, and then I'm going to let you all type in some answers, and I'm just going to pick one. And what I'm going to do is there's going to be 3 total prompts that chat is going to get. I will pick a different person for all 3 of those prompts. So once you have one chosen, you can't have another chosen. And I'm going to try and be as fair as I can, but I don't want to do it randomly, because if we end up getting a prompt that's not like, that was a joke or something like that, like I don't want to, because sometimes people type things that are just funny into the chat, and I don't want to, So.
Sure.
Our next prompt. Scrolling down. All right, chat, here you go. This is the blank you're going to have to fill in. You now have the ability to learn all the rules to any board game by simply touching the rule book. Unfortunately, you can't teach the rules to others unless you are blank. Do you still teach games to other people? So you've got this ability no matter what. If you touch a rule book, you learn all the rules instantly. You know how to play the game perfectly. But you can't teach those rules unless blank. Do you still teach games to other people?
Oh, boy.
Uh-huh.
I knew that was coming, David.
Oh, gosh. So the answer in my... Oh, okay, no. Hannah just put in the answer that I actually thought of when I concepted this question. She said standing on your head, and I said doing a headstand is what entered my brain when I was creating this one. So that makes me... I'm not going to pick that one because that feels unfair for that reason, but that is funny. I think I'm going to try and stay away from the more adult content-esque ones. It's okay that y'all type those in. I like them. But
there seems to be a theme showing up, actually.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Actually, there's a lot of good ones, y'all. Okay. I'm going to give an honorable mention to the people who said not allowed to play or not playing the game, because I think those are really interesting. But I'm actually going to go with Jacob's, and we're going to say that it's going to be always a losing player. So I'm going to type that in.
Oh.
Always a losing player. So you can't teach any game unless you're basically guaranteed to lose. All right. Here is the straw poll link. Make sure that's the correct one. Yes. So do you still teach games? You're still getting to learn them no matter what, but do you teach, knowing that every game you teach, you cannot win?
Okay.
I think this one is interesting.
It is
okay,
interesting.
And
I think it's possible, though, that this is more one-sided than it seems.
it's entirely possible.
Because I know my thoughts on it, and it's pretty, I think, pretty strong to one side.
Okay. Ooh, David makes an interesting point. That would really suck for cooperative games. That would mean you could never. That means the whole group loses. That does make a difference, I think.
That is interesting. Yes.
Or even like a team-based game. Like if you taught Captain Sonar to 7 other humans and your team now is guaranteed to lose, would you even tell them? Would you warn them in advance? Like would the game experience be ruined knowing that you couldn't win? Like I think this is not quite as one-sided as maybe I initially thought.
Yeah, I mean, I voted already, so I'm already in the mix.
I did too. I voted no, so I voted yes.
I voted yes that I would still teach games.
But now I'm actually like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you could always not teach that particular game, like
yeah.
I just
you
don't
just feel
teach
like,
co-ops.
I know how to play, but you teach it.
Yeah, I want to hear if you know how to play it.
Yep. All right, I dropped the link in the chat one more time. We'll give it a few more seconds, but we have around the same number of votes as we did last time, so I'm guessing just about everybody who's going to vote probably has at this point. All right, y'all.
Everyone's looking for loopholes, by the way. We have Coralu looking for library books. K7 says, assume that once I teach it, I can play another follow-up game and win that time? Like, what's the statute of limitations on this? I
know, right?
I'll just tank that first game.
Well, it looks like the votes are in, and with a split of 63% voting yes and 36% voting no. So that's a pretty good split there. So thank you. Oh my gosh, I forgot who submitted the answer now. Oh my gosh, there's too many things in the chat. I'm going to find it. Always a losing player.
It was Hannah, right?
Player.
No.
Jacob Watson.
Jacob.
Good prompt, Jacob. And that means chat with a 60-30 split gets 3 points. So you're just 1 point behind Eric. That's pretty good.
So we're looking at like 10% bans, at least for the first 2 sections.
That's kind of the way I made that up, but it felt right. So yeah, so even the only way to get 0 points is if you get an answer that's in the 90s and the zeros, basically. Yep. So that's the only way to get 0 points. Even if you get one that's in the teens and the 80s, you still get a point. So that is what I did.
If you touch the rule book to a game with really poorly written rules, do you learn them poorly?
That's you know what? That's a question for the universe.
Halox is asking that question.
All right, Eric, this next prompt is yours, and it's easy for you fill in the blank wise because all you have to do is come up with a number.
Just a number.
That's simple, right? All right. You've won a contest that will upgrade blank percentage of your game collection with top-tier premium components and storage, making them more beautiful and easier to use. But the remainder of your collection will disappear forever, and you cannot reacquire them. The games chosen for these upgrades will be selected randomly.
Ooh.
Do you accept the prize?
So this is a risk management question. Because what percentage reward are you willing to accept the chance that your favorites are gone? And that, it's got...
And you can't ever get them again. Like, if they're gone, they're gone.
Oh, my goodness.
And anyone looking for caveats there, just don't overthink this. Just think they're gone.
All right. I'm going to say, I think 75% is the percentage that we're looking for.
Okay. So 75% is Eric's answer. I'm going to grab the link, put it in the chat. Yeah, cannot reacquire, Kabuki Kid. This is not it's gone and you can buy it back kind of situation. If it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Everybody thinks this is a good one. I'm very proud of this one. So, all right, y'all. The link is in the chat for the straw poll. Okay, for 75%, I'm gonna answer. Yeah, the remainder is gone forever, Coraloo.
It is gone forever.
So 75%.
I mean, how risky do you want to be? Think of the reward, everybody.
I put it a little more clearly in the chat. 75% get upgraded, 25% are gone forever.
Well, yes.
You do not get to choose which games.
But Nick is saying it's 100%. You get all the upgrades and no losses. Yes, but that's not going to be an even split. That's not the game.
Yeah, that won't split the room.
Battlestar Galactica gone? No way!
I mean, as much as I hope the new version that Fantasy Flight is coming out with is good, it's not Battlestar, so...
Oh, this is tricky. I forgot to bring myself back in. People have just been hearing me talk and not I'm a ghost voice.
You know, that's your voice is the best part about you.
That's true.
Obviously,
I'm really not used to being seen while talking. This
Yeah.
is all very, very different for me. While people are voting, I did a romance book interview for the first time last week, where I got to like interact with romance authors and listeners and stuff, and it's like I'm not used to being seen. I wanted to like hide.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, well, it looks like the votes are in, and with a split of, ooh, this is actually very close. It's like on the line of a groupings of 10. So I think it's going to count. I'm not seeing anything else come in. So with 69% saying no,
Okay.
and 30% saying yes, that is a 60-30 split, which is worth 3 points for you, Eric.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, somebody just voted and took it over to the 70-29, but I already called it. I'm not going back. So.
Yeah, all right. I saw a few people after I had already named 75 say it had to be above 90 before I was even going to consider it. So I think 90 may have been more like, I'm glad I didn't say 70. I think I bumped it up to 75.
Yeah, I think 90 is the number that I would have shot with. I think that's probably where I would have gone, but who knows? It wasn't my prompt. All right, chat, the next prompt is yours. Let me get this on the screen in a good place. Okay. You're traveling down a mystical river and notice that the path ahead splits in two. Yeah, I know. I tried to keep these all like funny scenarios. I don't know. The path splits in two. To the left is a guarantee that you will never place last in any game you play ever again. And to the right is blank. Which path do you choose?
Okay.
So I almost said that you would win every game, but that felt like that's not fun for people to win everything because then people don't like you and whatever else. So I figured not placing last would be more interesting because I will admit, while I tend to not care about winning, sometimes coming in last really is a bummer.
Yeah. But
all right, chat. So put your answers in the chat.
But it's also like you have to pick a reward that is not so amazing that everybody chooses it.
Right. Gator Dave so far is the only one to put an answer in the chat, and he said a $50 bill, which I don't know if I'm going to go with, but I like it. Ooh, Kirk Wagner has an interesting one. Oh, Kabuki Kid. Okay. All right. Oh, my goodness, y'all. We got some interesting stuff here. Oh. Okay, two answers that were identical back to back that clearly didn't copy from one another feels like we have to run with it. Like that's the universe saying something, right?
Okay.
I like it. So David Breel and Loaded Toad, you're both getting credit for this one. By credit, I mean, unofficial credit. It doesn't mean anything. But the answer we are going to go with, the right path is all of your Kickstarters arrive on time. And not everybody cares about Kickstarter, but some people really do. So let me grab the link. That would be helpful. So do you choose? Nope. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Copy it. Sorry, chat. Oh, you've already seen the link by the time you hear me say sorry because it's there now.
It's there. I see it now.
Yep. So yeah, left path is you'll never place last at a game ever again. Right path is all of your Kickstarters deliver on time.
Okay. This one's easy for me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think it's it really depends on how much you care about whether your Kickstarters arrive on time. Is that something that annoys you? I guess also on time is when they originally said it was going to be there, and anywhere within like 3 to 6 months of that time, I'm generally okay with, unless I'm really gunning to give it as a gift or something.
Right.
I'm not really annoyed if it's still within that space. But then, like, when it's been a year, or in some cases, I have one that hasn't delivered yet, and I backed it 6 years ago, then I get a little miffed. So.
Yeah, I tend to be pretty laissez-faire about Kickstarter delivery times. Holy cow, y'all. When we were at 32 votes... No, we're at 34 votes. I'm calling it. I'm calling it right now.
What?
No, I said I was calling it at 34, and I called it.
Okay.
We were at a dead 50-50 split.
Really?
Which I did account for, and that is the secret bonus way to earn 5 points exactly.
At least it wasn't 10,000 points.
It was not 10,000 points. But I was like, I don't think that'll happen, but that'll be the 5-point thing if it does. And I said when it hit 34, I called it. So chat, you're getting 5 points, which means you are 1 point ahead of Eric now.
Oh, boy.
That clearly was a really good, so congrats to David and Loaded Toad for providing that answer. That was a good one for sure. All right, moving on to Eric's last prompt.
All righty.
Here we go, Eric. We got something sound related for you. Every board game podcast and video now uses blank for their intro and outro, and you cannot skip or mute that part of the show when you listen or watch. Do you continue consuming board game podcasts and videos?
Well.
We know these people love to watch board game content because they're here. So what would make them stop, potentially?
Oh, boy. Okay. The temptation to pick a Yankovic song is strong, but...
Like one specific?
But...
I
think our folks would embrace that if it was like Fun Zone or something, which, side note, Fun Zone was my intro to my college radio station show.
I mean, that makes perfect sense to me, and I love it.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I'm going to choose the Hamster Dance song.
Okay. Again.
The dance mix.
Y'all.
The dance mix.
The hamster
dance mix version of the Hamster Dance song.
Dance mix, hamster dance. All right, y'all. Dance mix, hamster dance, and there is the poll in the chat. Do you continue consuming board game podcasts or videos? And this, again, you can't skip it. You can't mute it. You have to listen to it for the intro and outro of all board game content you consume.
K7 suggested the Friends theme song. Absolutely, I'd listen to that. We're rewatching that program, and every time it comes on, I have to do it. I have to do it.
Yeah.
So and there's a skip option. It's like skip intro. I'm like, why would you do that? Anyway, that's totally different. I have to go vote. Do you continue consuming board game podcast videos? Boy, howdy, I do.
I mean, I think you made it too easy on him. I think the hamster dance isn't going to be.
It was between that and Cotton Eye Joe. That was the other one that I was thinking, and that might have pushed more people away. I'm not sure.
I was just thinking like a woman screaming for like 15 seconds straight or something.
Oh, the subtitles on the screen apparently were wonderful when I sang the hamster dance song.
Oh gosh.
Dee 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 da doo da doo doo dee da 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 do. I want to know what they say in that.
Well, now I got to turn on my closed captioning. Hold on.
You know, Kabuki, I thought the 1877 Cars for Kids jingle might be but I think that would push too many people away. I think that would sway the wrong direction.
Okay, the delay is now catching up, and I'm gonna get to see the captions for what happened. Oh my goodness. Okay, that was good.
There was a time,
right.
It was that same era, there was like Hamster Dance Song, Cotton Eye Joe, and Scatman. Those were all like in heavy repeat in my house.
Well, so like when Hamster Dance was popular, I'm thinking like that's around the time like the Badger song was also a thing, right? Like, or the Crazy Frog.
Yeah, I mean the original Hamster Dance Song was one of the first, like, it was an animated GIF page that just played that song on a loop.
Yeah. All right, well, we've got 34 votes in, which, as we learned before, is about how many we're going to top out at. And we have a split of 82% yes and 17% no.
Oh, I went too enjoyable.
Too enjoyable. The hamster dance wasn't enough. So that will get you 1 point, Eric, which means chat's going to have to goose egg this one to lose it. So with that being the case, I am going to pick my answer from chat at random. I'm not going to give chat a natural advantage. So chat, when you type in your responses to this final prompt, please put them in all capital letters so it is easier for me to see them. And I am going to pick the fifth one that pops up in order in chat, which again, the order for YouTube chat is different based on what device you're looking at it on. So I promise you I will pick whatever the fifth one is, no matter how good or bad. I'm going to pick it no matter what. So here we go on the last question. Chat, you're in control now. Oops, and I just realized I can't scroll further down because the document ends. So let me, there we go.
There you go.
Here we go. All right, you walk through a magical door and are greeted by two options in regard to your future gaming. You can either never suffer from analysis paralysis again, or blank.
Oh boy.
Which do you choose?
Okay.
All right, chat. So please type in whatever you want to fill the blank in with in all caps.
Yep.
And then I will go to whatever the fifth one that comes in is. So don't wait. Start typing and hit that enter button. You know, I know everybody wants their answer to get picked. And I will skip an answer if it comes from somebody that already submitted one of the answers. Yep. That will be the only caveat. But
somebody suggested an answer to the last question, the Harry Potter puppet pals. You know, the Snape, Severus, Dumbledore. That would be
Harry Potter,
Hermione Granger. Yeah, that one.
Ron Weasley. Yeah. All right. Okay. We've definitely got enough answers. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I don't understand the fifth one. So, and number 6 is identical to the. Okay, so we're gonna. I'm going to try and find one that fits, is what I'm going to do. Because there's a bunch of them that don't read, like I'm not sure what people taking back turns. Because, the first answer is
nobody takes back
analysis.
Turns?
Oh, maybe that's what they meant. Nobody could, I'm not sure. Ooh, there we go. This one makes sense, and it's the one right below that. So we're going with this one. I'm going to put it in quotes. Here we go, y'all. And it came from Hornist. Games automatically set up and clean up without assistance. So that's pretty cool. Let me go over to the poll.
Never suffer from analysis paralysis again, or your games automatically set up or clean up without assistance.
All right, and then create the poll. Grab the link. Here we go.
I mean...
So you could either never suffer from analysis paralysis ever again, or all of your games are automatically set up and cleaned up. I will say for me personally, this is an easy one.
Yep, I think I agree. Oh, you actually did the whole poll and everything.
Yes, this one it wasn't a yes/no thing, so
Yep.
I wanted to make sure I actually typed it in.
I think this is an easy one for me.
So I did say I wasn't, going to give chat any natural advantages. Obviously, I had to skip a couple answers that didn't quite fit in the blank super well, but this will be interesting.
I like the never forget a game rule. I think that was a good suggestion as well.
Although I will say, I think sometimes forgetting rules has led me to discover more enjoyable ways to play certain games, or like in different ways to play games that are kind of like, I want to keep to the spirit of the game and what the designer intended, but sometimes when you get a rule wrong, you accidentally discover something else that is also fun. So
yeah, I think for me, now that most people have probably voted by now, this comes down to it helps me specifically versus it helps everybody at the table get the game started more quickly. So I think benefit analysis here. I mean, I guess if you are personally one that suffers from AP and it annoys everybody else at the table, it could still benefit everybody if you don't suffer from AP again. But I think the setup cleanup is a clear winner for me.
Okay, and for me, it was funny. I was not thinking altruistically. I was thinking very selfishly. But I hate setting up and tearing down games. So I was selfishly choosing that one because I just don't want to do it anymore. I'm okay with a little analysis paralysis.
Yeah, I actually think the stress of setting up the game when everybody's watching you can be worse for me than knowing that it's my turn and I'm taking a little extra time to think about it. Because everybody can sort of get in that situation. Whereas if I'm the one setting up, everybody's just staring at me. Are we ready to start yet? No, hang on. And then I got to look up that one rule for the setup. And I know you all want to play, and I know you're starting to get bored already. And I can't start teaching the rules until I have these 6 piles of cards laid out. So,
well, it looks like most people agree with us, and in fact, 87% said games automatically set up and cleaned up. And 12% said never suffer from AP again. So just by a few percentage points, chat squeaks out 1 point.
Chat gets a 1-point victory.
Chat's going to win by a 1 point, Eric. They're beating you 9-8 in the end.
You deserve it, chat, for getting that 50-50 split.
Yeah, honestly, that was pretty magical.
Even if Crystal ended it before it was really done.
I mean,
we'll have to go back and check the tape on that.
It wasn't done, so... I had to call it at some point. So, yes, congratulations, chat. You all won. I'm going to take this little thing back off of my screen. I hope you all liked that game. I really like Split the Room. And please, check out Jackbox games. Split the Room is in Jackbox Party Pack 5, I think. I believe that's correct. And it's one of my favorites, and, definitely go check it out. It's a great party game. Everybody can play on their own mobile device. You don't have to download anything. Once one person owns the game, everybody else just connects using a web browser on a mobile device. And it's super fun. So I wanted to try it out here. If you all liked it, let me know after the show, and I'd be happy to bring it back again in the future.
Very, very fun. So we should probably talk about... Here, I look at the clock again.
I know, I just did too, and I was like, whoopsies, but we were having a really good, discussion in the midst of it, so I was like, it was fine.
We were. So, Crystal, you came up with this topic for discussion this evening, partially because of the trip you just took, so I'll let you introduce what we're talking about tonight.
Absolutely. So I think there's a decent number of conversations that have happened about board games based on cities. There's a lot of board games that are, the title of a city. You've got stuff like Las Vegas, for instance, or countries like Puerto Rico. But there are some board games that get a little bit more specific in the location that their theme is based on. And I thought about this because of the new edition of Floor Plan that's coming out about the Winchester Mystery House. And when we were demoing it, The Winchester Mystery House, for those of you who aren't familiar, although I know you all were discussing it in the chat earlier, which was awesome because hopefully some of you already learned some of the cool facts, but basically Sarah Winchester, who was the heiress to the Winchester rifles family fortune, believed that the ghosts of the people killed by Winchester rifles were coming to the mansion and haunting it. Or no, we're going to haunt her specifically, I think. I probably have some of those details a little bit wrong. But basically, she bought a small farmhouse and then started construction and started adding rooms to this small farmhouse and added rooms and added rooms and added rooms until she died. She never stopped construction on this house until her death.
Wow.
Like the foreman who led the construction crew lived on site. The foreman's house is still there. And the house is incredibly complex and convoluted because she was trying to make it difficult for the ghosts to basically like get around or find her or do things. And so there are doors that lead from like upper stories that lead to the outside of the house, that they lead nowhere. And there are staircases that literally go up into a ceiling. Like there are lots of things like that in this house. And I got to tour it as part of Deepwater Games' event. And I was fascinated the whole way through. Like, I can't describe to you how neat it was to see because it is unlike any other structure I've ever been in my whole life. And it makes for a really good addition of floor plan because the ridiculous things you do in a game like floor plan where you're drawing the layout of a house with doors and windows and things, now the ridiculous things that you could do in a game make sense within the context of the theme because you could have a door that goes to nowhere or stairs that lead to nowhere.
Yeah.
And in the Winchester edition of the game, there are two stories of your house. One is a transparency that goes on top of the base board, and you draw on both of them. So whenever you draw a staircase on the bottom level, you put the transparency on top, draw the staircase in the same spot, and then you can put rooms on your upper floor as well. It is really cool. And all of the like end-game scoring bonuses are very thematic and based on things from the real house. Like they've done the game in partnership with the people who own the Winchester Mystery House. So that is where the inspiration for this topic came from. And so I was like, there's other board games that use specific locations as the setting for their theme. And so I just figured it would be a fun thing to chat about.
Yes, and now that you are talking about that, I just thought of one that I didn't bring downstairs.
Oh, yeah?
The Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Oh, yes. That's a great one. And
Which,
similar kind of in its, like, strangeness.
Yes. And there are tiles in there that specifically relate to both the Castle Neuschwanstein and some of the other palaces of Ludwig II. And there's, like, a swan room. And when Stephanie and I went to visit Germany, when the first time I got to go to Essen, we toured around and visited these palaces and got to see the Swan Grotto and all these amazing spaces. There's a room in Castle Neuschwanstein that is a cave. It's made up like a cave with the theatrical lighting and stalactites and stalagmites, and it's next to the bedroom. You walk from the bedroom into the cave. So it is.
That definitely happens in the game. Like you can put these things next to each other, and you're like, "That's ridiculous," but it makes sense.
It is not as far fetched as you might make it out to be. But I picked a few things off the shelf that sort of. First, my criteria was picking something that has a location theme that's not just, like I joked in the intro, Carcassonne, which doesn't have that much to do with the actual location that it's based on. It's, there's a country. It could be any countryside and castles, and we've actually seen rethemes of Carcassonne where it's Star Wars for some reason. But I picked out Santa Monica, which, while it doesn't talk about specific locations on the Santa Monica Pier, there's not like real shops and piers and stuff. It does evoke the flavor of the Santa Monica Pier with its color palette and the style of the businesses and stuff. It does feel like you are building a pier that would fit in to Santa Monica. And then I got a little more specific in the version of Pandemic that I think is the most geographically thematic. And that's Rising Tide, which is the one set in the Netherlands. where you're trying to prevent the floodwaters from coming in. But what's really specific is that you're building these flood mitigation structures. That's the goal of the game, which are real things that were done in the Netherlands. This is how they battled the flooding historically. And so you are trying to rebuild those structures as the goal of the game. And if you are from the area or want to go visit the area, you can see these things. And it's sort of like, wow, that's really kind of cool. And the geography is so specific in this one with the mountains and the high and low areas. And it just really meshes well. That's not specific enough,
absolutely. Though. Okay, so what's more specific?
What got me more specific is a game called City Explorer Kyoto. I actually bought this one at Essen. It's from, what is it? Come Here Games and Mo Ideas. It's a little card game, set collection game. You're trying to collect like temple cards and palace cards and icon cards. In a grid, and you earn points for doing so, but they are all specific locations from the city of Kyoto. This is, for example, the Ryoanji Temple, which has a very famous Zen garden where it has 15 rocks, except you can't see all 15 at the same time. No matter what angle you're in, one of them is going to be hidden by other rocks, and the only way to see all 15 rocks is to see the 15th in your mind's eye. If you do that, you have achieved, Zen. There's the Kinkakuji Temple, which is the Golden Pavilion, which is very famous. There's lots of, computer wallpapers of this. I visited a bunch of these places. What else did I find in here? There's a Toei Kyoto Studio Park, which is like a Universal Studios, but for samurai movies. I've been to a bunch of these places, and so there's little snippets of information on these cards. So it's a fun set collection game that you can play not knowing anything about Kyoto, but at the same time, it sort of makes you go, I kind of want to visit this place to see these things. And it relates to the actual place you're going to. I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to let you take one.
Well, what's perfect is the segue that you just set up for me, because what's better than Kyoto than a specific street in Kyoto called Hanami Koji?
Wait. I have it. I pulled it out.
Yay!
Hang on. I got it. Where'd you go? Kiyomizu, Kinkakuji, Ryoanji, Hanami Koji Street. Right there.
Yes!
That's the one.
So, yes, Hanami Koji is, I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, but is a street in Kyoto where you are known to go and find geishas. And in the game Hanami Koji, you are trying to attract geishas to you instead of your opponent. So, admittedly, the theme I don't think comes through quite as strongly in this one.
Yep.
But it still, evokes something similar to that game where you're like, oh, this sounds like an interesting place and I want to learn more about it. When I first got Hanami Koji, I did not know that the word was a street name. I just, was like, oh, that's a cool sounding word.
Yeah.
But then I wanted to look it up and learn more about it. And that's, in my mind, where these location-specific games kind of shine is, for me, personally, a lot of them either make the game come to life a little bit more than it would otherwise, or they make me want to learn more about the real-world location that the game is based on. And I think both of those things are pretty cool.
Yeah. The one more specific one that I was thinking of, more than just a city, an actual specific location that many people have visited and would recognize the elements of this game. I ended up not liking the game ultimately, but the style and the tying of the theme in this is top-notch. And that is the Haunted Mansion game, which has, just on the inside front cover, the stretching room, where at the very beginning of the ride, you go either up or down. It's in Disneyland, you go down as an elevator, and in Florida, the ceiling goes up and stretches the room, and these paintings expand, which is a neat little location. Everybody recognizes that. And the board itself is more locations from... Don't break the board. Don't.
Yeah, don't pull a crystal.
The board itself is pieces of the rides. You've got the graveyard. You've got go this way. The dining room scene, the dance scene, and it all you're going to visit these, or at least put cards in these different locations on the board. Those are elements of this theme park attraction that so many people have written and know about. Here's the exterior of the whole thing, and you go, oh, I remember that part. And some of the cards as well are iconic ghosts from the ride. You say, oh yeah, I remember with the lady, come back, don't forget your death certificate. It's it's iconic. And so it really feels like you are reliving pieces of that actual location in the game itself. And so that's the sort of thing that I really, really like, when you can tie the theme together with the location that makes you go, if you've been there, oh, I know that spot, that specific thing. Even if it's just a little touch on a map. If you put a little illustration in the corner that is specific to that location, where you say, oh, I know that fountain. That's a real fountain. I've been there. That is such a cool connection, far more interesting than just a generic fountain. I saw Alhambra go by, which is a great game, but I don't feel like it's specific enough to the location to really, at least for me, connect in this way.
Yeah, and I think that's similar for me with a lot of games that are kind of more based on like larger locations. Like, for instance, Las Vegas, like the dice game, Las Vegas, feels nothing like Las Vegas. And I know, I live here. Like, even it doesn't really feel like anything related to Vegas, truly. But the other games that I grabbed, one which has shown up in the chat a couple of times already, Sagrada, which is based on the Sagrada Familia Basilica, which is famous for its famous stained glass windows. And in Sagrada, you're making stained glass windows. So this one, I think, doesn't, like, in my mind, they took what was or is an incredibly abstract game, and they did put some theme on it that kind of makes sense. Like, I know a lot of people like to compare Sagrada and Azul. I like both of the games. And even in Azul, you're basically putting down tiles onto a floor. In Sagrada, you're putting panes in a window. So they're very similar in that regard. But this, to me, feels more thematic because it is tied to a real-world location.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily make the game better, but, like, it kind of brings it to life a little bit more.
Indeed.
And then the last one I have, this one, not so thematic, but pretty cool. It is Babel. This is a Japanese game that has you constructing a little Tower of Babel. It's a kind of a dexterity game in the vein of something like Rhino Hero or other things like that. So technically not a whole lot of thematic tie-in to the location, but like it still makes me think of the Tower of Babel, which then like I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's kind of neat. Like, because a game like this doesn't have to have a theme, but I like that it does. So. Yep.
Lots of great city-based games going by in the chat. Many that I really, really enjoy, but don't necessarily have that really strong specific connection that I'm really looking for here. But like, Fields of Arle, Parks. Parks is cool.
Parks is a good one.
Parks is a good example because it has those specific connections to those specific parks that you can then say, ooh, if I visit Yellowstone, I will see this. And that I like that connection there. Yeah,
scrolling back up in the chat, a couple others that came by. Teotihuacan is another, I think, good example. Niagara, also not a bad one. I'm not a huge fan of the gameplay in that one, but it is the way the box turns into the waterfall, and you literally are pushing things down the river, like into the waterfall. Like, that one to me is kind of neat. Mm-hmm. And it very much evokes that water flowing feeling. So yeah. Halo Portugal is sad. I know that Azul is based on real world stuff as well, but like it's based on a tradition rather than a place. Yeah. So it's to me the thematic tie isn't as strong. Again, I know it's there. I think it's very cool. But I think that the thematic tie is just a little bit stronger in Sagrada.
I understand what you're saying. I think there is much more of a location aspect, especially if you're talking about a specific church.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know we're already past our normal. We don't have a normal stop time at this point, but
We've
really,
given up a normal stop
we
time.
do try and keep it to about an hour. We know that you all have busy lives and things to get to, so we don't want to keep you too much longer. But if anybody does have any questions for us, we'll stay for a couple more minutes. Drop those questions into the chat. If you have questions for me about the Winchester Mystery House, like which room in the house felt the coldest to me, not counting windows and fans, like there was a room that I felt was noticeably colder than the rest.
Oh, interesting.
And if you want to know what that is.
Well, now I want to know. One thing that we got an email, and you can email us, as I'll say in the outro as well, but eric@dicetower.com or crystal@dicetower.com. And someone suggested submitting questions early. And maybe, every few episodes we answer a question, maybe one that requires a little more thought. We sort of do the ones that it's like, we can come up with an idea real quick now in the live chat, but maybe one that requires a little more pre-planning. We might consider doing that in the future, I think. We can maybe answer a listener mailbag question, viewer mailbag question from the past or from out of the live stream, I guess.
Yeah, I'm down, definitely. Okay, so
Mitch asked, what was the coldest room?
Everybody wants to know. Okay, so again, this is what I personally experienced. I am not a super spiritual person, but I dabble in spirituality to some degree. And I did not realize what room it was until after I was in it. We walked in and it did not have fans or windows like some of the other rooms of the house. And I was like, wow, it's colder in here. And then they were like, oh, this is the room where Sarah performed all of her seances. And I was like, that's interesting. Like, there were no bad vibes anywhere in the house. And they were very clear that, so the people who work there fully believe that there are spiritual presences there. Like, this is not an act for them. Like, I am not saying one way or the other, everybody can believe what they believe, but I know for a fact that the people who work there and have seen things believe in those things. The seance room felt noticeably colder than the other rooms around it to me. And I thought that was interesting.
Very, very interesting. Kirk asks, why are the doggos so cute? We demand answers.
I mean, that's an excellent question. Sterling, Lana, can you speak to that for me, please?
Are you talking about us? You're talking about us, aren't you?
Lana. You know what's funny is they've gotten so used to me doing streaming and meetings when I'm working from home and stuff that now if I get my high-pitched voice thanks everyone at the end of a Zoom call or all right bye at the end of a Twitch stream, they know that means I'm about to get up from my computer and they get excited and they're like, yay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lucy, my puggle, knew when she knew the sound of the booth door. And when I was done with recording for the day and would open the booth door, she knew that we were wrapping up. And within about 10 minutes, my assistant would leave, and that she had me all to herself, and that it could be walk time. Or after lunch, she would also know when I was wrapping up and putting my dishes away, then it was walk time as well. So.
Aw, that's so sweet. All right, everybody, it looks like the questions have kind of slowed down.
No one's died on the spiral staircase. It's still...
That's good.
We're still good.
We don't want your house to become haunted.
So don't want that.
All right, friends, we are going to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you had fun tonight and you haven't clicked the little thumbs up button below the video, if you could do that for us, that would be wonderful. We really appreciate it and helps the YouTube algorithms, and I see a bunch of you already have, so thank you so much for doing that. Eric and I will be back with you in 2 weeks, which as I glance at the date and the calendar is freaking September.
Yes.
No.
September 1st. It's coming.
What?
It's coming.
Where did the summer go, Eric?
I don't know. It's also when my kids go back to school. That is the first day of school for the kids.
Okay. Well, so yes, we will be back in 2 weeks, September 1st, which is a Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we hope you all can join us. But until then, I'm Crystal Dax.
I'm Eric Summerer.
And you've been watching Dice Tower Tonight.
Thank you for watching. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. Crystal and I will see you in 2 weeks to kick off September. Our show is supported by viewers like you. Thanks. Dice Tower Tonight is produced by Crystal and me with assistance from Tom Vassell, Mike DeLisio, Roy Canada, Chris Yee, and Rob Searing. Filling the harbor with explosive devices provided by Bombay. Timothy Pinkham composed our theme, and hosting is provided by GameNerds.com. Give us your feedback on the Dice Tower Guild at Board Game Geek on Facebook or Twitter, or by emailing us at crystal@dicetower.com or eric@dicetower.com. You can hear more from Crystal on the Board Game Blitz podcast, and I can be found giving Tom a hard time on the Dice Tower. Find those shows and more at dicetowernetwork.com. Until next time, from all of us at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming.
gaming.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.